A shock for Bonaire? It really shouldn't be. Forum Antilles has been reporting for some years about the dangers of land and coastal mismanagement here on Bonaire. Fortunately, at this very dangerous stage, Dr. Rita Peachy has allowed us to follow the latest part of a study relating to the fecal bacteria pollution in the nearshore waters and the groundwater of Bonaire. She became interested in the bacterial levels following a die-off of spotted moray eels in the fall of 2008. There is currently no sewage treatment on Bonaire, and there is no monitoring of bacterial levels in nearshore or well waters in Bonaire. It should be remembered that what we're about to show are the results of an ongoing study by Dr. Peachy that I will be referring to as the preliminary report. And there you have it, in the middle of the night, on what is essentially public property. This property is put here for the benefit of the people to grow, to do agricultural affairs. It's really close to domestic properties over there, urban areas. We've done everything we can. We've even taken films off the internet in order that local people can secure their economy, that there's no threat to local government, and everything we can do to try and keep this in a peaceful mode. As far as I'm concerned, this is ground zero. This is where we start the attack. In the 21 days or so since Forum Antilles first started monitoring what Dr. Peachy was doing, we were able to approach the government, and we've since also had a response from the government. As you can see, this is absolutely bone dry now, and everything that was there has drained and leached away. It's left nothing growing on the surface, which is of course a fantastic indication that it hasn't done this ground soil any good whatsoever. But more worryingly, especially for you nature lovers, is what impact this could have on the marine life. And you may say to yourself, we're in the middle of the island, it won't do us any damage. But I'd like to introduce you Dr. Rita Peachy, who is well founded to give you another idea on that. And if you look at this trench in front of us, it gives you some clear definition of what we're allowing to go into our water table. Rita, how dangerous do you think this is?
We are only 2 kilometers from the coastline here, and the ground here is made up of limestone, which can water can move through it pretty easily. And this water is obviously contaminated with oil, as well as the bacteria from the sewage. So it's not a long distance really for this water to have to travel. It's going to go down and into the water table first, and then out onto the coral reefs. During that time, bacteria will largely be gone, but these chemicals will still be there when it reaches the coast. So the results of the test are shown when we put a black light on the panels that were filled with the water. And what we have in this light box, our cardboard light box, are the samples. This is a day after the analysis. So when at 3 o'clock yesterday, we took these out and did the counts. Anywhere you see fluorescence, that means that there are enterococci bacteria present.
It's not a smoking gun, this is a bullet leaving the barrel. In the last few moments I was able to receive the results of the test that Rita Peachy had undertaken. The water sample from the LVV was positive with the enterococci bacteria. The most probable number was 123.6 colony forming units, that's to say CFU, in 100 millilitres of water. The water sample from the pond adjacent to that well was also positive for the bacteria, and the most probable numbers were 31.8 colony forming units in any 100 millilitres of the water tested. The sample from the 14th of November 2009 indicated that the bacteria was present at well number 1. Since that well tested positive, 3 additional tests were run the next day. The mean most probable number of well number 1 was 57.3 colony forming units within 100 millilitres of water, plus minus 15.7, and we'll show you the table which will make sense to you with regards to this. The following samples from the second well, which were further away, also showed heavy pollution, with a mean most probable number of 706.3 colony forming units in any 100 millilitres of water. Of course, this is a preliminary report and further tests will have to be done. However, Dr. Peach's conclusion is as follows. The enterococci bacteria were found in all of the samples collected, including the LVV ditches, the surface water, pond, and the water from the 2 wells. A positive result for well water is reason for further examination of the bacterial levels and types of bacteria present in the surface water. Groundwater and nearshore waters of Bonaire, the 3 samples from well water 2 and 1 of the samples from well number 1 exceed the single sample standard of 61 colony forming units in any 100 millilitres of water. And that's a prescribed value by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. That's for people who may come in contact with it, not people who may be using it for agriculture or in any way for ingestion.
Well, I was expecting that maybe there would be less bacteria further away from the ditches, but in fact what we see here is more bacteria in the well further away. The panel in the back is from our drinking water, and I ran that as a negative control. You can see that there's no cells glowing, there's no contamination in the drinking water here at the lab. This is the well that was closest to the ditches, and it's got similar to the level that we saw the other day. This is the one further away, and it's much higher. All of the large cells are glowing, and only a few of the small ones are not glowing. So this is going to be a much higher number from what we were seeing out of at the first well.
To blame the free winds would be ridiculous. What we need to look at is why successive governments, both of Bonaire and other Antillean islands, have ignored reports such as this, which were compiled over 10 years ago, indicating that the groundwater was polluted and we could no longer go on with this situation. This is the hard part of this report, and Bonaire should be shocked, and we should be ashamed that we've let this go so far. The results of the study are important to the health of the people of Bonaire. They indicate the presence of a harmful type of bacteria occurring in a very high number in the surface water and groundwater. The groundwater is connected to the sea, and the movement of the enterococci bacteria from land to sea is a significant concern. The reason for this is very simple, because the enterococci tolerate high salinity values and can therefore traverse from inland to the coast. I think there's good foundation there to believe that further investigation should take place and immediate cessation of any importation of sewerage from the airport or the port until we can safeguard the people and the health of this community. Sean Payton, Forum Antilles.